Hello, it's Jansen, and we are here with another book review. Now this time I don't have the physical book on hand because I did an audiobook. We are talking about Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Yes, the second prequel in the Hunger Games series. This one focuses on Haymitch Abernathy, who was portrayed by Woody Harrelson in the Hunger Games movies, and focuses on his experience in the 50th Hunger Games. By the way, this discussion will contain spoilers for Sunrise on the Reaping, the Hunger Games books and movies, and of course the other prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So let's talk about the big items first. Overall, I liked this book a lot, and in fact, I liked it more than the first prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But that could be in part because of that book. It gave this book even more depth and even more character, and I knew even more about the world because I just read that one. And I will say, I give Collins a lot of credit because she is doing something that's very hard to do in my mind, and that is make a prequel interesting when I already know the fate or fates of many characters in this book. Since I ultimately knew that Haymitch would survive and win his version of the Hunger Games, I wasn't sure if I would like this book. Even with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, at least they had the hook of snow and how did this young man become the evil dictator that we see in the later books and movies. I was worried, but like I said, Collins did a terrific job of keeping me engaged and wanting to know all about Haymitch's story. I also want to touch on some of the themes that I picked up on and wanted to see if maybe you picked up on them too. Some of them are pretty slap you in the face, but others I think are a little more hidden. As always, I think Collins has a lot to say about propaganda, about messaging, about the media. But she also has a lot to say about trauma and how it's passed down and passed on, even if you aren't related by blood. Throughout this entire story, one of Haymitch's main goals is to see how his story will be edited, what will be kept in, what will be kept out, and how it's being portrayed to his family and to the world. And on the other side, from the very first few pages, the Capitol is doing the exact same thing, trying to figure out how to twist that story in a way that benefits them. As for the trauma aspect, we see the evil Snow and how that built up in his book passed on now to Haymitch through the things that he's done to him. Then you take a look at Beatty, and his actions also have consequences for those that come after him. That's just a couple of examples in this book, but you can really follow those threads throughout the entire series and see how hate begets hate and how that trauma continues to roll over from one character to the next. Collins also does a really good job of sprinkling characters from those later novels into this book, and that makes you feel rewarded for knowing the lore of the Hunger Games and knowing who these people are, and they're put into maybe not pivotal roles at all times, but important ones that make you wonder where have they been, how'd they get there, and these fill in those gaps. Introducing Beatty and fleshing him out even further, giving him a family arc, giving him an arc where he's already trying to take the Capitol down. I thought that was a wonderful introduction from Collins. Giving us Wyrus and Mags at a younger stage in their life, also a great job bringing those characters in. Collins continues to add these people in, which adds to the world, and as we continue to see these characters, I think it allows us to grow even closer to them and think, wow, we should really care about these people and what happens to them later on down the line. Some of these characters, though, are introduced into key and pivotal roles, and that would be Plutarch Heavensbee. In the movies, he is portrayed by the legendary actor Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he has a very large role there. You can see he's been dwindled down a little bit in these books, and you get to see where his career even started. By the time of the movies, he is a game maker, and he is also already playing a key role in that rebellion, but you can see those seeds planted, watered, and starting to sprout all the way back in this book. While at this point he is just a cameraman, he is someone with the machinations of a man that wants to overthrow it all. Plus, seeing him and Haymitch interact so closely in this book really makes me want to go back and see how that is shaded and how it rearranges some of the things that we see in the movies and the later books that maybe I didn't pick up on before. And that's really where a prequel is at its best, when it is kind of recontextualizing some of the original material, but it's engaging enough that I want to know even more. That is where you succeed. And that's why I think Collins has really done herself a favor with this book. Of course, this is a story all about Haymitch, so let's talk about him. I think like many people, wanted to know how Haymitch got from point A to B in his life. We know that when we see him in the first Hunger Games books and in the movies, he's a drunkard, He's going through a rough patch in his life. It seems like he just kind of lives at Victory Village, really going through the daily steps, not in a successful way. While that is what's on the outside, we know he is much more than that. You don't become a fan favorite by being a flat character. So I was curious to know, how do you go from a young 16-year-old in this book to who we see in the Hunger Games? And the answer, of course, is they go through a Hunger Games themselves. And as always, it is traumatic. We're losing youngins left and right. A bad girl that we think we won't like turns out to be our favorite. And of course, through it all, Haymitch lives, and Haymitch lives with guilt. Yes, he survives, but he is hurt, he is traumatized, and he can't understand why he lived while all these other people had to die. And you would think this would lead him down a dark path, but hey, at least he can go back to District 12, to his family, to the love of his life, and live happily ever after, right? Oh, wait, no, that's where Snow and that Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes prequel really comes into play. Snow hates District 12, and he knows it intimately. And he knows how to hurt Haymitch. So Haymitch's family, eliminated. The love of his life, poisoned and killed. And who does Haymitch blame? Yes, he knows Snow is the one who's done this, but he knows it's also his fault. And that is the real tragedy of Haymitch Abernathy. Yes, Haymitch's story is sad and traumatizing and upsetting, but it's also effective, which is why I give Sunrise on the Reaping 4 stars. Again, I'll say Collins does a great job of keeping me interested in characters who I know where they end up, and it makes me want to actually go back and read the books and rewatch the movies, because that is how good these were written. Now, do I need more Hunger Games books? I'm not sure, but Collins keeps surprising me, so if you've got one, I'll probably read it. Make sure you tell me what you thought about this book and anything else Hunger Games in the comments. And if you liked this video, well, like the video. Subscribe to the channel so we can keep these discussions going, and we'll talk soon.